Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Palm Blisters. This is episode 7. This week we have a very exciting episode because we are going to be talking about the history of gaming, which is a very interesting topic. Honestly, I think we should just start from the very beginning. Which, does anyone know that date of when gaming came around?
It was early to mid 50s. I don't remember the exact date, but it was this machine called the cathode ray tube amusement device.
Oh, wait, say that again?
The cathode ray tube amusement device.
So was it like a computer kind of thing, or like was
a
it
computer game? It utilized ray tubes like in the name.
Oh.
It was a game involving like computations, computer stuff.
Yeah.
I think it involved like shooting at targets, like predetermined targets with a little space gun.
Interesting.
Now, is this like an at-home game, or is this something you went to?
This was the 1950s, so anything with a computer was never going to be at someone's house.
So, like, where would you go to play one of these?
I think it was made for, like, conventions and fairs. Like, it was meant to show off the abilities of computers.
Interesting.
So was this was before like arcades and all that stuff like kind of existed?
Arcades still existed, but they were mostly pinballs. There's some interesting stuff there because...
Are pinball machines considered gaming?
No, but...
No.
I don't know. I mean, well, you could go online and play pinball.
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like
not a video game. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I feel like it's a game. It's definitely a game.
Arcades weren't always like synonymous with like video game cabinets as a thing. There used to be, stuff like pinball,
Right.
skee ball. I think whack-a-moles were an earlier one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stuff like those things where you put a quarter and you put your eye in and you see a little movie in this little machine.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think to call it a video game, no. But if we're talking about the physical version of pinball, no. But I feel like if you played it online, which there's like many websites you could play pinball online.
Yeah.
I would say it's considered a video game because it's a game that is on video. it is a
true.
digital form of the game. So I don't know. But yeah, when I think of, like history of game, like the second history and gaming are put together, I think of the very first console, Atari. Like that's just what always comes to mind. I remember my dad always telling me about like when him and his brothers, they first got an Atari. And like they would always take turns like fighting over like who's gonna play, because the only game that was out was Pong.
Well, my mom always told me how like back in her day in like the 70s and stuff, they didn't have all these video game consoles. All they had was just the one console that had one game, and that was Pong.
Pong, yeah.
And how that's a super nostalgic thing. Like that's considered that was like one of the first ever video games people could play at home.
Yeah. It's so funny because nowadays, like my dad will see like me and my brothers play video games, and like you got like all these beautiful games now, like with like insane graphics and stuff like that.
And
then he whips out like, oh, I remember back in my day. Like,
my dad does that all the time because he was a big Asteroids fan.
Yeah.
Like the arcade game, and he's like, oh, this looks amazing, but it's not as good as Asteroids.
Yeah. He's like, he's like, these graphics of Asteroids are amazing.
I remember I was playing Luigi's Mansion 3 one time on my Switch, just like in handheld mode, and my mom was looking over my shoulder, and she says just like amazing how different video games were than when she first saw them. Like Super Mario Brothers was 8-bit, and now you've got these really good looking 3D graphics.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Now,
when did 3D graphics come out? Do we know that? The 90s?
Was
Are
it?
we talking about graphics in games or 3D animation like in general?
In games.
I would
say like the 90s. It started off with the Super Nintendo and stuff. It wasn't technically 3D graphics. It was a way of displaying the 2D graphics to give the illusion of 3D.
So like Doom and stuff like that,
Doom
and
was
like
a very early example. Star Fox, that was like a pretty revolutionary game at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what was Doom? What did that come out on? Was that like a computer game at
It was
first?
a computer game, and then they ported it to a lot of stuff.
Okay,
Doom actually has like a port for like everything.
Yeah.
It's actually like a bit of a meme of like it can run blah 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 can run Doom because they released the Doom source code some time ago. Which makes it very easy for them to port it to all kinds of machines, like your Texas Technology, whatever those graphing calculators we all had in high school. It's possible to get that.
I've seen that. Yes.
It's possible to get that to play Doom.
Yeah, because it's so advanced.
Doom first came out in 1993. Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't realize it was that old.
Huh. Honestly, I thought, not gonna lie, I thought it was a little bit older. I thought it was like 80s.
Well, before Doom, there was Wolfenstein.
Oh, right. Now wait, yeah. So Doom kind of copied Wolfenstein, right? Like,
I think it was a lot of the same developers though.
okay. Yeah, because I mean, like you look at the two games and you're like, oh, this is basically the same game. The only really difference is like Doom, you got like demons and stuff like that.
Well, for a while, a lot of early FPS games were called Doom clones, which is like a funny way of how genres evolve in games. Is a game will do something revolutionary, and then the copycats are called a blah blah clone. Like a lot of open world games early on were called GTA clones, but now they're just called like sandbox games.
Yeah. No, I feel like
Doom the first person shooter game?
No, I just said Wolfenstein.
Oh, Wolfenstein.
There
Yeah.
might have been one before that. But
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein was like the first big first person shooter though.
Yeah. I know nowadays, like with a first person shooter like Call of Duty being like the big first person shooter, like everyone will be like, if a new game comes out, they're like, oh, it's just a COD clone or like a Call of Duty clone.
Yeah.
I don't really play those military shooters myself. I like the boomer shooters. I've played some of the stuff from the 90s that was made for the build engine. I've played Duke Nukem 3D. I've played Blood, which is a really fun game.
You ever play GoldenEye 007?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that game's.
I've not actually gotten around to playing that one yet.
That's a good like 90s first person shooter.
I played the original Doom.
Nice.
GoldenEye, that was on the
I played it on the N64.
Yeah.
I believe it was on other consoles though.
I just distinctly remember like back in like elementary school, my one friend had a N64, and we would always go over to his house and play GoldenEye.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So getting the gold gun and everything, and just so much fun. But yeah, I mean, and then Atari, like back to like Atari, like is that? Because now I feel like I'm dumb thinking about this. Like, what company made Atari, or was Atari the company that made
Atari? Was the
it was like the company for gaming.
Okay,
Yeah.
and
Did they ever release anything after the original?
that's what I was gonna ask.
There's like I think the 5200, but that wasn't as successful.
Yeah. There's also the 7800, but again, that did not do as well.
I mostly know about these from Angry Video Game Nerds. So
Nice.
So with those, like, did any other like memorable or popular games come out of those, like the 5800 or
there's the ColecoVision, I believe.
ColecoVision?
ColecoVision. I don't know too much about the library, but that was a big competitor.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting. You see, in the early 80s, after Atari was a big success, a lot of companies tried to dip their toes into the video game market, making their own consoles, which led to this major crash in the industry because there are so many different consoles coming out.
Right.
It was spreading everything very thin. Every console would have a small library. That library may not be good.
Yeah.
So the industry kind of almost crashed and burned, at least in North America during the 80s.
Yeah.
It only came back because Nintendo came out with the Nintendo Entertainment System, which was like the definitive console of the 1980s,
Right.
which kind of gave a console where most games could be released on. And
Yeah. Here's an interesting question. I don't know how it popped in my head, but I mean, games are obviously evolving over time, like so much. Like you see a new game come out and you're like, wow, this looks amazing. But you look at like how crazy the gaming history has been. What time period do you guys think was like the most revolutionary for gaming? Besides obviously the Atari, like, the Atari coming out and stuff like that.
I'd say in the 90s.
The 90s?
That's when it was going from 2D to 3D games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big leap.
Like a big, like probably like a lot of
It was
N64.
a huge leap. Like that totally changed how games could be made.
Yeah.
Whole new genres being invented, like the first-person shooter. That couldn't have been done in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy how like games like that have evolved over time, like first person shooters. Like you look at a game now, like you play a first person shooter, if you like turn off like all the HUD and everything, you're like, this looks like a movie. Like this looks like it's real life.
I remember my brother saying how he played one of the new Call of Duties and they had a realism mode where you don't see like the health bar notifications or anything. You don't even see what your ammo count is. So you just have to remember all of that.
Oh yeah, if you have like a high quality like monitor or TV or something like that can run those games, like, or like if you have like a PC that has like the latest graphics card, like it looks like it's almost like it's gonna get to a point where like you're gonna, is this real? Like,
Yeah.
And actually there's a game that's coming out. I don't know if you guys ever actually seen it, but they've been teasing it. It's called Unrecord.
Yes, the body cam footage.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was just going to bring that up.
That's the one where people say
it looks like real life.
Yes.
people are saying makes it look a little disturbing almost.
It kind of does, because it's like, yeah, it looks almost realistic. Like it looks like it's like a cop's body cam. And yeah, it is almost like a little disturbing.
I think what helps with that though is it's got a kind of fisheye camera in it, which kind of distorts it so you don't see some of the inaccuracies and presents in real life.
The first time I saw gameplay of that though, like I legit thought it was an actual body cam.
So did I. I thought so too. And then I was looking through the comments. They're like, yeah, this is a game that's like in development. I'm like, huh? And then I remember, I want to say it was the Game Awards or I forget, some sort of like gaming event. They showed it off and they're like, yeah, no, this is like, because everyone was like questioning, like, this is not a game. This is like, this has to be like real or something like that. Yeah. And like, no, this is like, and they did a free cam. They were going through the map and everything. Like, they're like, this is a full on video game. Like, it's nuts. It's crazy how we've jumped from just looking at two pixels going parallel to each other, hitting a little pixel, trying to get to the other side and score to.
I think it's.
Well, I remember as a kid looking at Super Mario 64 and being like, these graphics are amazing.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. Like,
and now going to Unrecord, it legit looks like real life.
Yeah.
I think it's funny how now, though, a lot of times these older graphic styles are becoming art styles on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, 8-bit, that used to have, like, that started having a big comeback. Like, Shovel Knight came out, and that was a huge game at the time. Yeah. I've played a lot of Shovel Knight. I've played all the expansions except for the fighting game thing.
Yeah.
And now the old polygon style of PS1 and N64, that's becoming an art style people have tried to emulate.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny because it's like, when these games were made, those were just like hardware limitations. So that's what they looked like.
Yeah, they couldn't do more.
They had their own sort of aesthetic that people liked, so now people try to imitate it. Like, Ultra Kill, it's a lot more advanced than what you have on a PS1, but it was still inspired by that flat polygonal look.
Yeah.
There's this game called Pseudo Regalia that came out that looks a lot like an N64 game. It's a 3D Metroidvania type of thing.
Yeah.
I told you guys about the Build Engine, which is like a popular thing for FPS games in the 90s.
Right.
This company, 3D Realms, they make a lot of first-person shooters, but they made a modern game on that old Build Engine. They heavily modified it and stuff, but it still looks like really good.
Yeah.
It was called Ion Fury.
Well,
that's kind of a cool thing to do, though, is go back on a, like, by today's standards, like ancient, game engine and design a new game.
A lot of indie devs still make games on the Doom engine.
Really?
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're technically called Doom Total Conversion mods, but they're their own standalone games that you can buy on Steam. Like, one is called Vomitorium, which is another, like, Metroid. It's like a 3D Metroidvania, like the style of Metroid Prime.
Right.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, isn't, like, Quake? Have you heard of Quake?
I've heard of Quake. I haven't played that one.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure that's also another Doom-like...
I know that was another very...
conversion.
It was a revolutionary game for the first-person shooter genre.
Yeah, because I think that was like one of the first that was like actually competitive. Like I think it was so. Like the first where it was like a multiplayer like first-person shooter instead of just a single player like you're shooting AI and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I would like to check out Quake. I always heard it was like a super cool game. I just never got around to it.
I know it for a while it had like a really big competitive scene. I don't know what it's like now. But they recently came out with a second one, and I was surprised because I'm like, oh, well, with the technology that they have now, they can make it look super realistic and stuff like that. But no, they went still with like the older art style, which you were mentioning. Like that's just like what certain companies prefer now. Like they like these certain art styles, and some people like that as well. Like I love playing like a pixel game like every once in a while. Like one of my favorite games, like I've talked about here on the podcast, is Hollow Knight, and it's literally just a cartoon, like almost like cartoonish.
I think it's a retro art style. It's hand drawn.
But like it's hand drawn, and I feel like it gives it that retro art style. You know what I mean?
I kind of guess I am.
For me at least, I don't know. When I play it, I'm like, oh, it feels like a retro game to me. Like because I feel like every game nowadays, their standards have to be. Like, oh, it has to look super realistic. At least these big AAA games that we're seeing put out. Like, every big AAA game you see, like, you got, like, Call of Duty or, like, Battlefields and all that stuff. Like,
like stuff like Hollow Knight Silksong, that's probably going to be a Game of the Year contender when it comes out.
Whenever it comes out, I've been waiting years and years. I mean they announced it.
The thing is, they only released Hollow Knight because they want to do more with Hollow Knight, but they released it because they ran out of money. But I think I mentioned this on a podcast before, but because now they have so much money for making Hollow Knight, they can take as long as they want for Silksong.
Yeah.
So they really want it to be perfect.
No, I mean that makes sense. Like I've just been waiting, like, because nowadays, like I don't know, like I still love gaming. Like I will be gaming for the rest of my life, but the problem is like, well, right now at least I'm so limited because I'm a broke college student. I can't afford new games. I can't afford a new console or anything. So I'm just like constantly like looking for new games. I'm like,
but yeah, you should play old games.
I know. Well, that's why
you shouldn't like download them for free on some website.
Well, I know. Well, the thing is
illegal, and it would totally mean
we don't support illegal activities.
No, of course not. But like,
and you totally shouldn't use something like Dolphin Emulator to play those rounds on that website I told you about.
No, I know, but like the thing is, I only have a laptop, and my laptop barely even runs in the first place. I can barely even do my schoolwork on it.
You can play like NES, Game Boy Advanced emulators.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But yeah, I don't know. Like literally just what was it, last night? I downloaded because it was on the Game Pass for free. I just downloaded a Diablo 4.
Oh,
I've never played a single Diablo game in my life. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play it because I've heard the high praise of the Diablo series. So I'm like, I'm gonna try it. I was like, it's pretty fun. But
last weekend I got Bloodborne at GameStop.
Bloodborne is one of my favorite Soulborne games.
I mean, I'm loving it so far. I have 13 hours in.
Yes.
How many times have you died?
Too many.
I didn't think I'm gonna bother counting.
Dude, it's such a hard game.
I got to the part where you fight what's her name in like the big chapel?
I know exactly.
Vicar Amelia.
Vicar Amelia. Yeah.
It turns to nighttime. That was kind of an easy boss. I've been playing Elden Ring and the bosses were a lot harder, so I feel like Bloodborne is holding off for a bit before it actually really gets me.
I loved Bloodborne so much, like because one, it's made by From Software, Bandai Namco, like, and I love all of the Dark Souls games, but Bloodborne, I feel like it had like a faster paced take on the Dark Souls series.
That's what I've noticed. Like, I think that's why they have the healing mechanic where you can basically undo damage to you if you attack right away.
Exactly, which I like. It rewards you for being aggressive.
It's annoying having to farm to get more healing on.
Right.
I like the health flasks in Elden Ring.
Yeah. Me too. But yeah, it's just like I don't know. I like that reward mechanic where it's like you have to be aggressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Game is the gothic art style.
I know, like the whole Victorian era.
Yes, it's so cool. Like it's just a different take, like because you play the other games, like it's just like knights, dragons, like all that kind of stuff.
Like a totally different scene with werewolves instead.
Werewolves, yeah, like and like these beasts and just I miss that game. I might have to read that. Well, it's a PlayStation exclusive. Only problem is I have Xbox. Played it on the PlayStation, but yeah, I do miss that game though. Yeah,
PS4s or PS3s are relatively cheap to pick up, and PS4s.
That's true. Yeah. Was Bloodborne on PS3?
It was PS4.
Bloodborne was PS3, but you can play like the older Dark Souls and Demon Souls.
No, Bloodborne was PS4.
Oh,
yeah, I know. Yeah, I was saying, but like you could play like the older
ones. Yes, yeah, like Dark Souls and stuff.
Dark Souls got a remaster last year, I think.
Yeah, so Demon Souls got a remaster for PS5.
Remake, actually.
Or not a remaster, remake, my bad.
Yeah. Now, here's a good question going back to like the whole history of thing. Like, what are your guys' takes on like remasters of games like from made years and years ago, or like
remaster or remake? Because there's a difference.
Well, how about we talk about both? Honestly, so
remaster is just sort of like you touch up on the game that's already there.
Yeah, like it's already there, graphic touch up.
Remake is you sort of rebuild it from the ground up, like you reprogram everything again.
Yeah, like whole new engine, even a lot of times.
It's a new a new coat of paint versus a new house.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I like when they remaster or remake like really old games. Like let's say like games from like the 90s.
The Crash Insane trilogy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like exactly. Games like that. Games that like almost not need one, but like could drastically improve by making a remaster.
Well, they're not even that different. They're not even that different, but it just shows that they hold up really well with games.
They do. Yeah. But like games like that came out on like PS3 or PS4 or Xbox 360, like I don't really think they need.
The graphics are good enough that
They're
they don't
good
need to
enough already.
Yeah.
Like maybe just patch the game so that you can run it in 60 frames per second.
Yeah, like when they remade Last of Us Part 1, like
yeah, like Last of Us came out on PS3, PS4, and PS5. I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, they had to. You can just get the PS4 remaster.
Can for cheaper, but I'm one of those suckers that like I love that game so much I'll buy it. I'm a sucker for GTA 5 too. I bought that on every system it came out on.
Me too.
I'm a terrible person, guys. I do not condone that behavior. just get the original game.
You will not be going to heaven.
I know.
But now what?
See, I bought Celeste 3 times, but that's an indie game, so it's morally correct.
Yeah. Don't buy AAA studio games.
Stop feeding into Activision and stop giving COD all their money. And
whenever they announce a cool thing for Overwatch, just know it's because they're trying to cover up something horrible in their company.
I just saw that they have like another. I haven't played the game in a minute. Overwatch. I did love that game for a while, and then
Overwatch was a lot of fun when it first came out. But I haven't played it in years.
I played the first one a lot, and then when they were like, "Oh, Overwatch 2," I played that. Surprisingly, I was actually really good at Overwatch 2.
I heard Overwatch 2 was like a downgrade for some reason. I never played it.
I think it was an overhyped update that they called a sequel.
That's essentially what it was.
So I guess I worded it wrong. Not really a downgrade, but they just didn't really improve upon that many things from the first game.
And the one big promise, which was like a story mode, play versus every environment,
got canceled apparently.
It was like the big selling point.
Yeah, no, that was a big. They were. I remember them saying they were like, "Oh, we'll make." And then I think like years later, they're like, "Yeah, we're scrapping it. We don't care for it."
Yeah.
Speaking of online, like what were some early online games that existed? Like
good question.
Quake, we talked about that being one of the first competitive scenes.
Yeah,
Quake. Yeah, I think was like one of the big ones.
I don't think you played Unreal Tournament, but that was a pretty big series back in the day.
That too, yeah. Unreal Tournament. I'm trying to think. In terms of, I mean, are we just talking about just FPS or just online in general?
Maybe competitive scene in general. That has some history to it. Like you guys, I don't know. Like I remember in the '80s. Did you guys ever hear of that movie Wizards? Like it was like just some Nintendo gaming tournament.
Nah.
It was based off an actual tournament Nintendo held in like the '80s. Where I guess like you could win this Nintendo World Championship cartridge, which was like had a golden case. It was like this very exclusive thing, basically saying that you made it this far in this tournament.
That's cool. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, because when I think of, I feel like competitive scene really came up. I want to say like mid to late '90s because like the whole like MLG scene and all that stuff, like, because like. I talked about it on our last, I think our last episode, how like I'm huge Smash fan, and like I followed Smash competitively for a while, but that's been going on since the game came out, like through like MLG tournaments and stuff like that. So in terms of like a competitive scene, I want to say that was like late '90s, like mid to late '90s. I'm not entirely sure if you want to look that up, but if we're just talking about multiplayer in general, I mean, that's got to be like whenever Quake and like games like Quake or like Unreal Tournament came out. Like those were like I know for a fact like those were like the very first ones.
Well, I read here. I don't know what this is, but it says in 1985. So some University of Virginia classmates created a MUD-like game called Island of Kesmai, a multiplayer adventure that used ASC2 based graphics. Never heard of that?
Yeah, I never
heard
of that.
1985 online game. Like,
that's kind of revolutionary. Yeah. Is that the first one?
From what I could find, yeah.
Huh. Interesting. So just a group of kids in college just making their own online games.
Have you guys heard of Neverwinter Nights?
Neverwinter isn't Neverwinter D&D, like Dungeons and Dragons?
I don't know.
Some type of RPG game. So yeah, it's probably like Dungeons and Dragons.
Because I remember I downloaded a Neverwinter on Xbox like years and years ago, and it was literally just Dungeons and Dragons. Like they were like,
that's kind of what it sounds like. But apparently that's like a online game that went from 1991 to 1997. So
Wow.
that's pretty.
Huh. That's crazy. I feel like, I don't know.
But these are games that you had to get on PC, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
I think console online games started on PS2. Actually, you could buy some type of like network adapter for your system and play certain online games.
Yeah.
I never had the network adapter on my
don't know.
PS2, but
I always wanted it because I remember I had Call of Duty 3. Call of Duty 3 had what's it called? It had online, but you needed the network adapter, which is weird. And it's crazy how even that within gaming has evolved. Like you had to actually set up an adapter to play online. Now it's like as long as you have an internet connection, you can just load up into a lobby. It's crazy.
What are some landmark games you guys can think of that were huge?
Landmark games?
Are we still talking multiplayer games or just
in general, not just multiplayer?
Oh, just in general, throughout the decades.
That changed.
So revolutionary games, you're saying
Mario 64 is an obvious one.
Yeah, Mario 64 for sure.
What can you say about that one that hasn't been said already?
I mean, we've already talked about that game a lot. But
Mario 64 is definitely obvious.
Did you guys ever play Metal Gear Solid 1?
I did not.
I played a little bit.
Not the first one. What did you think of the first one, Dom?
It's a pretty interesting game. I think it's one of the first true stealth games that I've ever played.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something cool that the Metal Gear Solid series brought out is the element of stealth in video games.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other games before that really had a stealth combat based.
Yeah. No, honestly.
It also changed storytelling in games that helping them become way more cinematic, like watching more of a movie.
Yeah.
So the first Metal Gear Solid game I played was Metal Gear Solid 4. And I remember the cutscenes in that game were insane. Yeah. I was I've never played a game with a story this deep, this thought out.
You probably should have played the first 3 before that.
I know. It's just the first one I happened to pick up and play just because I heard good things about it. I still haven't gone back and played the first few ones. I want to.
Yeah, I've only ever played Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah,
and then also there was the Phantom Pain, which I played, and then what was that little mini game that came out before Phantom Pain?
Ground Zeroes.
Ground Zeroes. I
Yeah.
played Ground Zeroes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did enjoy that game. Only thing that sucks with Metal Gear that I never liked is you can, for some reason, at least how it is on Xbox, is if you download the game, you can, you could start up a profile. There's no multiple save slots, which kind of sucks. But if you say if you delete the game, say if you want to start over from the beginning, if you delete the game, it starts you back from where you started.
Yeah.
So I'm well, I want to start over. And I've even tried going into the files and you can't even delete the files or anything.
It's really weird.
It's so strange. So for the longest time, I've been wanting to restart the Phantom Pain over again because I feel with the at least the Metal Gear games, I feel me personally, I feel they're hard to hop back into. I feel they're just the way Kojima just sets up his menu and stuff like that, and just there's so much to the game where it's
his menus are one of the reasons I couldn't get into Death Stranding. It was all the menus are so long to navigate.
It's just so very convoluted and just every you don't know what you're navigating through, and there's no really explanation behind them. That's why I wanted to start over Metal Gear, but I'm no,
I totally get that.
It's just not giving me the opportunity to, so I just never had the chance to.
Yeah.
But
another landmark game, at least with exploration, 2D platform, is Metroidvania, Super Metroid.
Yes, I would say the Metroid.
I haven't, but I've watched some people play it on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's such a fun game. I actually enjoyed it more the second time, I think, because I kind of understood how to play the game better.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so fun to explore, find all kinds of different things. Even if a lot of games aren't Metroidvanias, I think in terms of exploration and discovery, Super Metroid is still revolutionary in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another one that I'm thinking of, and this is actually kind of crazy to say, but games I would say honestly even just Call of Duty is very revolutionary, as much as I hate to say it, but Call of Duty I feel is now kind of set the foundation for what standard FPS games should be today.
Yeah,
So,
no, I agree.
like you see any new FPS game comes out, there's like a lot of just components that just,
Like
is what COD started,
Like what?
just simple combat, like just like sprinting in combat and just like just simple mechanics like that, and just like aiming down sights and all that stuff, like attachments for weapons and like customization.
Well, Sprint
And just the
wasn't-
fact
they
that
had
it's been
Sprint.
around for like what, over 20 years or like close
Yeah,
to it.
it's just
They
iconic.
had sprinting in early FPS games.
Like which ones?
Blood.
What? Oh, Blood.
Yeah, that had a sprint button.
Yeah.
Oh, did it? Oh,
I just
But,
think
like-
it's revolutionary in the sense that like it definitely did influence
Yeah,
so many other
I think it did
FPS
definitely do
games,
that.
And just,
then
like-
also like just the fact that it's still around to this day and people are still playing it.
yeah.
And
they make a new
it's
one every
probably
year.
like the biggest online game. Like a lot of people that are non-gamers will still pick up Call of Duty every year.
Yeah, no,
Or, like-
absolutely.
Like non-gamers, they'll typically pick up like
Yeah.
Call of Duty and like Madden. Or,
Yeah, like
or
a
FIFA,
sports
you know?
game
I work
or
at a GameStop.
or a Nintendo game of some sort.
Yeah, or Nintendo.
I work at a GameStop, and we have so many unsold copies of the Modern Warfare Reboot 3, though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like they definitely have fallen off the past few years. However, like they're still relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could see them making a kind of a comeback.
Also,
Hopefully.
the thing is too, just like the way I wouldn't say nowadays because their map design sucks now, but when they first started making games, like their map design always had the same layout. Like it was like 3 lanes.
Yeah,
Like you're going down, like there's 3 parts of the map, and whether one's like a higher part of the map, one's like going underground or something like that. But they always had that base design of 3 lanes, and I feel like you see that in so many games now, especially a lot of competitive shooters. Like, for example, like recently, like I'll play on my roommate's computer, I'll play Counter-Strike. That's a lot of like 3-lane maps. Like it's just like the basic design now.
I do like that design too, because like even if you haven't played a map before, it's almost predictable of what it's gonna be like.
Yeah. Yeah, you have
so
an
like
idea.
there's not really like a really big unfair advantage if like you're playing with someone that's played the map 100 times and you haven't played it at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, like but learning a map, like it just comes down to just like playing it consistently.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, I didn't know you could get up there, or like I didn't know you could
Speaking
jump
of
peak.
maps, remember Rust on
Of course.
I never played
MW2?
Rust.
That was like my go-to map. Like me and my brother and my sisters would play just split screen, and we'd just do Rust like over and over again.
Oh yeah,
Just-
no, yeah, interventions.
was
Dude.
great.
Or playing like Infected and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I remember me and my buddies like back in like elementary school. We used to like everyone had Modern Warfare 2, and we were all playing it. And we would just get like big games of Infected, and we would only play on Rust, and everyone would like camp at the top of the
exactly,
the Rust
that's what I
player.
would do. Yeah.
And just it was always so much fun.
Great time. Terminal was another good map.
Terminal classic, yeah. Like it's just like Rust is definitely an exception because it's just a square map. But yeah, like you have like maps like Terminal where it's like a 3-lane map, or like I don't know. Like you said, it makes it so it's easy for someone to get into.
Yeah.
Like it's like a very basic design, but like I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't really play Call of Duty anymore. Like I haven't picked up the past couple games they've released.
Yeah.
But like it's still a game that every once in a while, if I just want to hop into a game like mindlessly and just play for like half an hour, I can still do that. With,
Yeah, no,
Like
absolutely.
just like the other day, I went back on Cold War and I played for like an hour, and I just like it's a game where you can sit down and just like not think and play. Like,
Yeah.
So if you just need to turn off your brain for a while, like stressed out,
Yeah.
or whatever, like
No, I
it's a
agree.
good game to hop into and not think.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But as far as revolutionary games, one that came to my mind was GTA 3. I mean, it was the first.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because like GTA 1 and 2 were top down.
Yeah. GTA 3 opened up the world. And,
Yeah.
like,
It was like kind of like almost the first like sandbox game.
that's what I was talking about that earlier. How like
Yeah.
all early sandbox games are called GTA clones.
Exactly, and that's why is because GTA 3 was probably like one of the first games
To
like
ever
that.
do that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Also, this is another one. Minecraft.
Oh yeah.
I feel like
definitely.
because especially with Minecraft, like obviously, like you have your base game where it's like a survival game.
You go
You can do
around,
whatever
you
you want.
build houses and stuff.
But yeah, like it's crazy, like how much. I mean, like you could essentially do whatever you want in that game. Especially now, like if you play on PC, like you could get all these crazy mods and all that stuff. But like just with, with Minecraft, it's just crazy what you could do with that in that game if you're just creative enough. Like, like the world is your freedom, and it's just they really let you take advantage of that. And also another crazy thing, this is also a crazy stretch too for revolutionary games, which we're actually witnessing right now. Fortnite.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
Like biggest game, it might be like arguably like becoming like one of the top grossing games of all time. Like I wouldn't say it's the most popular game of all time, but like the way it just became so popular out of just like almost like thin air is nuts.
I mean, it's been building up for a couple of years.
And it's been building up for what, the past
8 years?
Has it really been 8 years already?
Yeah, it was 2017 that Battle Royale came
7
out.
years then.
Wow, that's crazy. But now it's like they've built up such a giant fan base. Like everyone's played Fortnite. Like
Every kid played it.
every kid still plays
I
it.
haven't
Like
played Fortnite.
what?
I've never played
You never played Fortnite, really? That is
played
crazy.
it like a couple times, and I was like, this isn't really for me. But I get the appeal.
Yeah.
And that's like it's influenced so many other games. Like I feel like Warzone would have never been a thing if
Battle
Fortnite
Royale
didn't
mode-
come out.
A Battle
you know?
Royale mode is now a big thing for a lot of multiplayer games.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Almost every multiplayer game now is focusing on a battle royale mode.
Yeah.
And it's not really my playstyle. Like it's just not my cup of tea. But like I totally get the appeal. Like it's definitely a fun way to play with your friends online.
And they like on top of what's it called, like a battle royale, like they also revolutionized like the standards of having a battle pass in games now.
Oh yeah.
Every game has a battle pass now because Fortnite just happened to do it.
What do you mean it's a battle pass exactly?
It's essentially you pay. Well, there's usually a free version of it and a paid version. So the free version, you like every time you level up, like you could get something within the battle pass. So like if you hit level 4, you'll get like a new emote, or like if you hit level 8, you'll get like a weapon skin or something like that. Yeah. But if you get the paid version, you'll get everything in the free battle pass, and then you'll also get everything on top, like and more. So like in the free, it's almost like every like 5 to like 8 levels you're getting something new.
All right.
In the paid version, you're getting something every level.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think, when did Fortnite come out? Because I feel like Call of Duty was doing like a very similar thing with like Black Ops 3 and Advanced Warfare.
Yeah. You said
Relatively
what,
early.
2017?
That was 2017 that Battle Royale came out for Fortnite.
Yeah.
Okay, so Call of Duty might have actually been doing like a battle pass thing before Fortnite.
Really?
Because when did Black Ops 3 come out?
2015.
Yeah, I remember they had like a paid system where like I don't know if they called it Battle Pass, but it was something like that. Where
Season pass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you just get, the new DLC maps and like new weapons and skins and stuff like that. And I didn't like it, but I paid for it because I was like really into Black Ops 3 at the time.
Yeah.
So, and I just wanted all the new content. So
Right.
of course I was going to pay for it.
But back to like the whole like Fortnite thing and like it being so revolutionary, like it's just crazy to see like how it's still continuing to evolve. Yeah. Like I mean,
they're getting updates.
Well, no, but like not just updates, but like you see they're doing these collabs with,
Yeah, they do a lot of promotional thing where you can play as skins and stuff.
A lot of that, and
that's not too revolutionary. That's just being successful.
Well, no. But I'm saying now they're collabing with Disney, and Disney wants to have like this whole like metaverse thing where I don't even know, like they didn't go too much into detail, but like it's gonna be like a whole like I don't know.
Imagine a day where you're gonna have to you're gonna have to pay for Disney Plus to play Fortnite.
Yeah,
I
no, for real.
see that being a thing. Like,
It could be, but and now
I
like
think they could do that for something where one of the big parts of its reputation is that it's a free game.
yeah, and then
but I don't know. You never know.
And then they also like they came out with the like their little like I was gonna say Forge, but that's Halo. They came out with like their like creative mode or whatever, but they're collabing with Unreal Engine, and you can make just about like your own game in Fortnite. Like it's weird. Like if you're smart enough, if you're like technical like that, and you know about game development, you can essentially make your own game in Fortnite. Because they're allowing you to have these tools. I think it's only available on PC right now, but people are making games within Fortnite. It's almost like almost like a like Roblox kind of.
Yeah. Well, first thing that came to mind when you said like making a game within a game is Little Big Planet.
Oh yeah.
They also,
Yeah.
yeah, that company. They also made, I think it was like called Project Spark or something.
Project Spark. I think you're right, but I never played Project
I never.
Spark.
They
Yeah.
have like an expansion on making your own game kind of thing.
Yeah.
Little Big Planet though, yeah, that was like a lot of crazy stuff people would make in that.
Yeah, that I would consider Little Big Planet kind of a revolutionary game.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I remember like finding some of the coolest stuff people made was people figuring out how to glitch the game to make even crazier sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Little Big Planet. I love that game because I remember we were talking about it like last week a little bit, like soundtracks. Like I love the soundtrack of
Oh, yeah.
Little Big Planet. Like it's
That
just
was a fun soundtrack.
like
That game had a lot of tie-in deals too. I remember they had a lot of different DLC with different stuff. Like they had a Muppet DLC.
yeah,
Toy
they did.
Story.
Yeah. A lot of
And
cool
there was
stuff.
a few of them too. I think they went up to Little Big Planet 3.
Yeah.
Yes,
I only
they did.
played the first.
Little Big Planet
Couple, I
3
think.
was made by a different developer though. I heard that one wasn't as good.
Yeah, I never played the third one.
I played it a little bit when my brother got the PS5, I think. I don't know. It's okay. I just didn't like the whole like there's new characters now. Like I just like the basic Sackboy kind of thing.
They made the new spin-off Sackboy's Big Adventure, but you don't. That's like a spin-off. You don't. There's no like custom level stuff.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, there's no custom stuff.
It didn't look too
It's-
appealing to me.
It's kind of just like a platformer type game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
I think Little Big
I heard
Planet
it was
2
good.
is the
I
best.
mean, I heard it was a good 3D platformer at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well, how about what are some of the revolutionary 3D platformer games that you guys can think of?
I mean, Crash Bandicoot was big.
Yeah, that would be the first one that comes to my
yeah.
mind. It's Crash Bandicoot.
Banjo-Kazooie is really pretty good. I've played a lot of that one.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of different ways you can jump around, move across. It's like Mario 64, where you know there's multiple ways to maybe go about a certain challenge.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
yeah,
cool.
Mario 64 is a given.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else. I don't know. Yeah.
Would you guys count Sonic Adventure?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people say Sonic the Hedgehog. That was actually considered like one of the reasons Sega was so big was because they were the first people to come out and rival Nintendo. And one of the reasons is that Sonic was such a different style of platformer than what everyone was used to.
Yeah.
It changed the way people like approached level design.
Yeah.
I feel like I wish I was better elaborating on scenes when I brought them up.
Mm-hmm.
I know, same.
Yeah.
It's like I've played so many games when I was younger and like, yeah, that was so good. And then I like forget like half of it.
Oh yeah, no, me too. Me too.
Well, I know with Sonic, it was like there are multiple ways you can get to the end of the level. You can go left. Sometimes the level will actually have you going right, then you start going left for a big section of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, I like when games give you that freedom to be like, oh yeah, you can like go this way or this way. But then like, I'm like, oh well, like, what if I missed something, going that way? Like, what if there was items I missed that like could be beneficial for me if I went that way, or like, and that's how like I said how earlier, like I started playing Diablo 4, like. You can like go through the map and whatnot, but I'm like, I make sure to look in every corner of the like area I'm in, so I'm not like leaving any loot behind or anything.
Right.
I don't know that I always get that like, I guess like fear of missing out. I'm like, what if I miss out on like a insane item that could be beneficial to me later or something?
Yeah.
So like I like how games give you that, like creative freedom. Like, oh yeah, you can like go this way. And I think of what's it called, Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild. Both of
They
them.
both have a lot of. Those are also pretty big games.
Yeah.
Elden Ring, I know, is hugely inspired by Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Where they gave you that freedom. It's like that, like the shrines and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, like do the shrine, but like there's a way of doing it, but you can also do it many different other ways if you're creative
I
enough.
thought they did that even better in Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
There's so many different ways you can solve every shrine.
Exactly. Like since they made like that whole building, like where you can like build things. Like
I remember there was this one shrine where there's some way to extend a certain scene, but I couldn't figure it out. So what I did instead was I had a bunch of those ice fruits, so I threw them
Yeah.
at the water, made a bunch of ice slabs, glued them together with the build construct, and basically used the ice to make a ladder I could climb up to
Yeah.
get to the top of the ledge.
No, yeah, people would get really creative in that game, and I remember scrolling through the Reddit, and people would just. I think there was like a whole Reddit design to like just for like people's builds like of certain
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
People would make like mechs, like or just like my go-to was like the flying motorcycle and like
Oh yeah, we just have the pilot stick and then the two rays.
yep the two
How
yeah.
was everyone saying like that's like the ideal way to move around?
It is. No, it was so ideal. And then you could like throw like one of those like light fruits on the front and for
Yeah.
like headlights or something like that. But yeah,
Definitely a cool game.
no, it is a fun game.
And then as far as like other games that I think are cool, that have like choices like that, but more so like story based, is like Quantic Dreams games, like Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls,
Yeah.
Detroit Become Human.
I never really got into them.
I'm not been into them either, and
I know you explained like the developer behind them is kind of not a great
Well,
person or something.
do you know about why Elliot Page hates them?
I'm not sure, but I love Beyond Two Souls, so I like that game.
I know one game had Elliot Page, but
Yeah, it was Beyond Two Souls.
this was before he transitioned for the record.
Yeah.
So David Cage, I guess, wanted to create some kind of shower scene, which Elliot Page wasn't exactly for. And against Elliot Page's knowledge, they used his likeness to create like a nude female model that they put in game. Like you never see like anything,
Yeah.
but it's like they actually model like the actual naked body.
That's messed up.
And like people dug into the files, like Elliot Page was like really pissed and doesn't ever want to like collaborate with.
Yeah, no, I would be too.
no,
like if I was,
I understand that. I had no idea about
Neither did I.
that situation, and that he wasn't okay with that. But
Yeah.
that's kind of crazy. But
Did you also hear that they're supposed to make a Star Wars game, but now no, but like they're struggling to find people who actually want to work with them?
really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and what's this guy's name? Who?
David Cage.
David Cage. That's right.
David
Um,
Cage.
Yeah, maybe I'll
Scumbag.
stop buying his games then. But I will say, like Heavy Rain, like I thought was like kind of like a really unique game for the time it came out. Like it was just like deeply story based and just all those decisions you can make and the different outcomes. I thought
Yeah.
was really cool. And then Beyond Two Souls, I thought kind of even evolved upon that. And what's funny is I feel like the series Stranger Things took a lot of inspiration from Beyond Two Souls, their story. But I don't know, could just be like a coincidence. But
See, I
feel like
don't
there's a
know
lot
too much
of
about Beyond Two
similarities.
Souls. I do know a lot about Stranger Things, and I am looking forward to season 5. But
That's gonna be the last season, right?
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know when that's coming out?
Next year, hopefully.
Is it next
It's
year?
been so long since season
Well,
4.
because they were on the writer's strike
Yeah.
for a while.
I've stopped watching. I watched the first episode of season 3, then I kind of just fell off.
Season 3 is the best season. You got to watch it. You got to watch all of season 3.
I liked last season.
season 4, yeah.
I work at the Bates Motel, and I remember though 1 year after season 4 came out, because of my hair, a bunch of kids would come through saying I looked like Eddie Munz.
That's funny.
Eddie was awesome.
Eddie was
I
great.
know he was just one of those. They made him super likable, but then it's like, of course, they're not going to bring him back because God forbid someone who wasn't from season 1 makes it to another season.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, same thing happened with Billy. And,
Yeah.
What was the name of the stepdad in season 2?
Man, it's been forever since I
Bob?
watched season 2.
Was it Bob?
Bob, yes,
Yeah.
Bob.
I was so mad
yeah.
about his death. Like, they were so unnecessary. They had him stop when he was right out there. Like,
Yeah.
Stop.
I was like, come on.
yeah.
just go to the damn.
Why'd they have to kill him?
That-
Yeah, he was such a good guy.
He was.
I mean,
He didn't
nothing
deserve
against Sean Astin, but it's not like he's in high demand, so they couldn't get him back for another season.
No, of course not.
Like,
Yeah.
he was a great character. Why not keep him around?
Yeah. I don't
No, and I
know.
felt the same. Like, I don't think they had to. Spoiler alert! I don't think they had to kill off Eddie and
No, they don't. No. If you, I wouldn't even
Wasn't
say
Billy
spoiler.
the-
If you haven't watched Stranger Things, go watch Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Wasn't
go
Billy
watch
the
it.
abusive stepbrother?
What?
Yeah, but he kind of had like a redemption arc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there were, not condoning his behavior, but there were reasons for why he like.
The dad was even worse.
Yeah. Going back to gaming though, we always get sidetracked.
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah.
Can we think of any other like big leaps in gamings throughout the?
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
That was like a huge adventure. Why did you go?
No, I said yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's like a huge leap in gaming. Like, every minute redefined Zelda, redefined adventure games. Like, a lot of methods of storytelling and exploration. Like, any fantasy game that comes out now has some of them.
What about Shadow of the Colossus? That's another good one.
I
Yeah.
have to play Shadow of the
Oh,
Colossus.
dude. Such a
I have to play
That's like the
that.
one where like you're just basically fighting bosses, right? Or,
Yeah, you fight these giant bosses. You have to climb up and find different ways
Yeah.
to beat them.
Yeah, I like that.
Really
That's
cool
cool. It's a cool concept.
really cool atmosphere in that game too.
Yeah,
and the soundtrack's really like relaxing.
Didn't that company make a more recent game? Oh, I forget what it's called.
Last Guardian.
Yes, The
Yeah.
Last Guardian. Yeah.
Yeah, that game was like I think announced originally for PS2 until finally
It got delayed like crazy.
Yeah.
They called like the Eco trilogy. Eco spelled ICO because Shadow of the Colossus was like a successor to a game called Eco.
Yeah, I never played Eco or The Last Guardian. The only one I played was Shadow.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to cover?
I think that's about it for today.
Huh?
Yeah.
I'd like to revisit this kind of topic sometime in a later episode, but that doesn't have to be soon. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, true. We can always talk about it later as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that's it for this episode of Palm Blisters. Episode.
I forgot to mention, I did play the original ET game for the Atari, and yeah, it does actually suck ass.
That's
Wait,
it,
the
yeah.
ET game?
I
did-
expected it to.
You never heard of this?
I
Okay, we have to talk
wasn't
about.
aware. Oh,
we
yeah.
have to talk about this for a little bit.
Okay.
So it's not
They made an ET game in the 1980s, and it
For the Atari? Or,
yeah,
okay.
2600, and it was not received well at all.
Yeah.
It's considered one of the worst games of all time.
Yeah.
I played it, and I'll say, yeah, it sucks, but some of the hate is really visceral, but it does indeed suck.
Yep.
And but they thought this game would be huge. They made like a lot of copies, like
Right.
a lot of copies.
It just didn't sell.
Yeah, they might have actually made more copies of the game than there were Ataris.
Wow.
But anyways,
And was this one of the first like video game adaptations?
probably. But here's the thing: because they had so many copies that weren't selling, they had to just dig a ditch in the New Mexico desert and just bury all of them there.
Why'd they do that? Couldn't they just like keep them somewhere else?
I
Like,
don't know.
then-
They want to just get rid of them, man. But so they buried them in the desert.
this game.
That's funny.
And like
bury it.
a couple years ago, this guy made a documentary about it because this was
Yeah.
sort of an urban legend. So he decided to actually go and dig it up to see if it's true. And he actually 600 games.
Wow.
Wow.
That's actually really cool.
That's crazy. I never
like
heard
that.
about
I had
that.
to tell. I can't
That's-
believe it took me a bit to get that.
No, that's really funny that they just decided, let's go bury all these crappy games.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's
All right.
great.
Well,
I
All
just
right, we'll
want
end it there.
yeah, end it there.
this is Palm Blisters.
That's it for this episode.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, WC Talks, and as well as our TikTok, Palm Blisters. And yeah, we will see you
Like and comment.
next episode. Peace.
See you.
Peace.